And now we're going to look at question number 2 from part 3 of the stoichiometry review quiz. So limiting reagents. Remember that limiting reagent is the same thing as a limiting reactant. 2 words, same thing. So we're trying to figure out which one of our reactants we're going to run out of first. So we're given all kinds of information. It's a neutralization reaction. I have 12 grams of hydrochloric acid, 24 grams of calcium hydroxide, some water, some calcium chloride. And we need to find the limiting reactant. Which one do we run out of first? So always we need a balanced equation. We can't do stoichiometry without that balanced equation. So we have some hydrochloric acid and some calcium hydroxide. Calcium is a metal with a charge of +2, and hydroxide is a polyatomic ion. It's OH with a charge of -1. +2 and a -1 are not balanced, and so I need to double that hydroxide polyatomic ion, CaOH2. So CaOH2. And that's going to produce dihydrogen monoxide, that very dangerous chemical, and some calcium chloride. Calcium still has a charge of +2. Chloride is a halogen with a charge of -1. +2, -1 don't balance out. I need 2 of these to have 2 minuses to balance out the 2 pluses. So calcium chloride is going to look like that. Now I need to balance. I have 2 chlorines here, only 1 here. So I need a 2, at least for now, in front of the hydrochloric acid. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hydrogens, but only 2 over here. I'm going to put 2 there. I have 2 oxygens. And happily, I have 2 oxygens, 1 calcium, 1 calcium. I have a balanced equation. Next step is to look at my givens. I have given of this reactant. I have given of this reactant. Given of this product, given of that product. Can my products be a limiting reactant? No. So all this information, totally extraneous. You don't need it. It's there as a distractor. Ignore it completely. What we are going to do, though, is turn the grams of our reactants, the 12 grams of hydrochloric acid, and the 24 grams of calcium hydroxide. We're going to turn those into moles. So I have 12 grams of hydrochloric acid. To get rid of my grams, turn it into moles, and divide by the molar mass of hydrochloric acid, 1 hydrogen plus 1 chlorine, 1.008 plus 35.453 gives me 36.461 grams in 1 mole of hydrochloric acid. My grams cancel out. I do that division, and I get 0.32918. Lots more numbers in my calculator. Sig figs don't really matter here because it's more of just a comparison thing. We're not making any claims about accuracy. We're just picking which one's smaller. So the step that a lot of us are forgetting after we find our moles is to divide by the coefficient. We need to add in the ratio piece because having less isn't necessarily going to be the limiting if the other reactant needs 6 times more, 12 times more. And so a larger amount might not actually be more when we look at that ratio. So anyhow, we need to divide by our coefficient from the balanced equation. So I found my moles of hydrochloric acid, and I'm going to divide by the coefficient from the balanced equation. And that is going to give me a number that I didn't type in my calculator yet. 0.32918 divided by 2. It's going to give me 0.16459. I'm going to do the same thing for my calcium hydroxide. I've got 24 grams of calcium hydroxide. Add up 1 calcium, which is 40.078, 2 oxygens, 2 hydrogens, and that's a grand total of 74.092 grams per mole. And so now do the same thing. I've gotten rid of my grams, turn my grams into moles. Do that division and I get 0.32392, a bunch more numbers, moles of calcium hydroxide, divide by my coefficient from the balanced equation, which is that invisible 1. So that one doesn't actually change at all. So I'm comparing these two numbers. So this one is smaller. Hydrochloric acid is my limiting reactant. And that's because when I look at that ratio, because even though here I had more of the hydrochloric acid, because in my equation I actually need twice as much hydrochloric acid as I need calcium hydroxide. And this is not twice as much, which is why I divided by 2. So I don't have to worry about the is it twice as much part. So now I can do a more fair comparison. I have a lot less hydrochloric acid. HCl is limiting. So there's one way to find the answer. We found the answer. We have a couple other methods. I'm going to go ahead and show us one other way to do this, which is by turning them both into a product and then comparing to see which makes the less amount of product. That's our limiting. So we are once again going to think about our acid and that calcium hydroxide. And we'll go back to our balanced equation. So it was 2 and 1 calcium hydroxide to make 2 waters and 1 calcium chloride. So we're going to start with that 12 grams of hydrochloric acid one more time. That same molar mass of hydrochloric acid. So this is 1 hydrogen and 1 chlorine. And our grams cancel out. I'm going to turn my hydrochloric acid into one of the products. Totally doesn't matter which one. We can pick water. We can pick calcium chloride. I'm going to pick water because I already know what the molar mass is because we use that compound so frequently. So I'm going to turn my hydrochloric acid into water. Now my HCl has canceled out. I have moles of water. I'm going to get rid of those moles of water and I'm going to turn them into grams of water. And again, I already know that the molar mass of water is 18.015. 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen add up to make 18.015. And now our moles have canceled out. And when I do this math, I get 5.9 grams of water. So if I react all of that hydrochloric acid with calcium hydroxide, I'm going to end up with 5.9 grams of water. This is the theoretical yield looking at hydrochloric acid as the reactant. But what if I do the same thing with my 24 grams of calcium hydroxide? Take those 24 grams, divide them by that molar mass that we already found, 74.092 grams per mole. And again, this number is simply 1 calcium, 2 oxygens, and 2 hydrogens added together. Those masses from the periodic table. Grams have canceled out. I have moles of calcium hydroxide. I want to get rid of calcium hydroxide now. I'm going to put it on the bottom. And since I turned this one into water, I'm going to also turn this one into water so that I can compare the two waters. It makes it much easier to compare when they're the same compound. So I'm still going to put the 2 from my balanced equation here, my invisible 1 down here, and calcium hydroxide is canceled out. I have moles of water. I don't want moles of water. I want grams of water, so I'm going to do the same thing I did up here. Turn my grams into moles. I know that the molar mass of water is 18.015 grams, 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. So now moles have canceled out. Do my math. 24 times 1 divided by 74.092 times 2 divided by 1 times 18.015 divided by 1. And we get, oh my goodness, 11.7 grams of water. Since I can make less product with the hydrochloric acid, that hydrochloric acid is my limiting reagent. Different method, same answer. You choose the one that makes more sense for your brain.